So you're ready to sell your house, but you're looking for some ways to boost that value and not spend a lot of money doing it. Well, you've come to the right place. In this video, I'm going to show you 7 cheap, inexpensive ways that you can boost and increase your home's value before you go to sell. So let's get started. Hi there, and thank you for watching. My name is Matt Moore. I'm a real estate agent in the beautiful Lancaster, Pennsylvania area, and also I serve some of the surrounding locations as well. I'm with Keller Williams, and today I'm talking about 7 tips that you can use right now and do in a short period of time to boost your home's value without really spending a whole lot of money. And of course, if you're here watching it, you're looking to sell, or at least you're thinking about it. And if you are thinking about it, live in the South Central Pennsylvania area, well, I'd love to talk to you. Here is some of my information. If you're outside of this area and you're looking for a real estate agent, well, talk to me anyway. I can help plug you in with some great agents across the country. There's my contact information there. I'm also here on all of the social platforms and of course on YouTube too. If you're watching here on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, would love for you to follow along or follow me at the locations listed below. If you're watching this on YouTube, don't forget to hit that subscribe button as well. All right, so you're about to sell your house. You're looking for some cheap ways to boost that home's value, and I don't blame you. There are some things you can do to actually make a lot of money in terms of when you go to sell that house. So let's talk about the very first thing you can do, and that is to put a fresh coat of paint on the walls. Not everyone likes painting. I'm not a huge fan of painting. I just can't really get into it. I like a lot of other home improvement stuff, but painting's just not for me. My wife is the painter, and she's the one that loves to just sit there and roll paint and use the brushes too. But believe it or not, it can actually add some value to your house. So go to the local hardware store, find some colors, refresh some rooms. So go to the local hardware store and pick out some colors that are pretty neutral. You want to be talking about some grays, some whites, even some kind of off-white colors. In fact, there's a really good example of some of that, the colors that I'm talking about. That brown, even that like light gray is really in right now, and it's a really neutral color that you can paint on your wall. A big tip for you here is to pick a paint and primer. You're going to save yourself a lot of time and headache by doing that. It allows you to put just 1 or 2 coats on versus, kind of saving an extra $10 on a can of paint and sticking with something that's going to make you roll for about 4 or 5 times and probably make you not even want to sell your house at all at the end of the day. So we don't want to do that. Get that paint and primer, and don't worry about spending a little bit extra money on that paint. So what this is going to do is refresh the rooms that really need refreshing. We all live our lives in our house. I have a toddler. Sometimes walls get dinged, sometimes there's scuffs. You move in, you move out, boxes up and down the stairs, and maybe you've got scuffs up and down the walls in bedrooms. It's a turnoff for a home buyer. So you want to make sure that you refresh some of those rooms with a fresh coat of paint on them, and it will improve your value. It'll improve the curb appeal, and it'll allow the home buyers to not be distracted by some of those imperfections that might be on your walls. Oh, and one more tip regarding the paint. If you've got kind of a plain room that's 4 sides and not really a whole lot of character to it, well, you can add some character to it by adding an accent wall. And what I mean by that is, say there's 4 walls in that room, pick 3 of them one color, and then one of the walls kind of a different color that stands out. We call those accent walls, and it can really draw your eyes to certain parts of the house and give a room a lot of character without really hardly any extra work at all. So if that's you and you have a room in your house that needs some fresh paint and it's kind of boring otherwise, well, maybe consider adding an accent wall to that. Of course, don't go crazy with the colors, keep it neutral, but you can add a lot of character and add a lot of personality to any room in your house. All right, the next step and the next tip that I can offer is to do a bathroom refresh. Now, I'm not talking about a complete bathroom renovation. What I'm talking about is your bathroom dated? Does it have some wallpaper on it? Are the fixtures that really bright brass color? All of those kinds of things are going to be something that might be a turnoff for a home buyer. If your home, or your bathroom looks the same way it did when you bought it in the 1980s or the 1970s or whatever that might be, maybe it's time to do a little bit of a refresher. And you can do this in a number of ways without spending a lot of money. First and foremost, that's paint. Just paint the walls if it needs a little bit of some extra touch. And again, those neutral colors are really important. If there's wallpaper, well, you probably should take that down. Again, if it's wallpaper everywhere, it's one of those things that nowadays is considered dated and can actually decrease the value of your home a little bit because buyers are going to be turned off by having to probably remove the wallpaper when they get in the house. Another thing to look at are some of the fixtures. Look at some of the lighting that's going on in that bathroom, even the knobs for your sink or your shower, or maybe even your bathtub itself. Those kinds of things can all be replaced quickly, easily, and really not for that much money at all, and you can give it a whole new look. Same thing with the knobs and the pulls on your drawers for your countertops that might be in that bathroom. And also, don't forget the countertops too. You can paint those and can paint them in a different color and totally give your bathroom a whole new look, make it look sophisticated and modern, and really just jazz up certain rooms of your house. And again, that might take a weekend to do, but it might be worth it when it comes to selling your home. Another thing you might not consider is look at those countertops. Maybe it's that cultured marble look, and if that's the case for you, believe it or not, you can actually paint the countertops, and you can paint them to look like granite, you can paint them to look like marble, and yes, they look like it too. I've got a video coming up a little bit later that I hope you guys will check out. It's about painting your countertops, and yes, you can do it. I've done it in my house, and it looks phenomenal, so look out for that video, and it is an option for you. All right, let's move on to the next tip, and this one is about the most important room in your entire house, and that is the kitchen. You want to give your kitchen a facelift, and again, some of the same topics we talked about in the bathroom are going to apply here. For example, the cabinets. Instead of replacing the cabinets, maybe you can paint them. Paint them a different color and sort of kind of get rid of some of the dated looks that might be around or might have been really popular 10, 20, 30, 40 years ago. So for example, that really golden oak color is a really prime example of that. And even dark cherry is starting to kind of fade out, really going towards those neutral colors in this day and age for keeping things modern. And it's really easy, believe it or not, to actually paint those cabinets yourself and do it right and make it look good. I've done it myself in my own house, and it does look good. And I've got another video, by the way, that's going to be coming up about how to paint cabinets, so stay tuned for that. Another thing, of course, looking at the knobs and the pulls on those cabinets and drawers themselves, you can really give a kitchen a whole new look by purchasing those knobs and pulls, and they're really not that expensive. Now, when we talk about maybe a little bit more of a big expense, and that is keeping an eye on those appliances of yours. If you have appliances and maybe they're mismatched, or maybe one of them's white, one of them is stainless steel, another one's black, or you have differences in the appliances themselves, it actually might be worth it, and you might actually get more money than you invest, or at least return on investment, is to purchase new appliances that all match. So maybe they're all black, or maybe they're all stainless steel, or all white, or whatever the case might be, but having them match and be the same color. Plus, you're going to be putting new appliances in, and that's going to speak volumes to a potential home buyer. They're going to look at that and think they won't have to replace that themselves. That's going to save them some money. So you can actually do that, increase the value of your home by doing that, and a lot of times you can get your return on investment on that, and maybe even then some, just by doing some of these simple tips. And here's another hint, and if you're feeling extra do-it-yourself, DIY, you can actually paint your appliances. Yes, you can do that. I know you might have thought there's no way you can paint your cabinets. There's no way you can paint your countertops, like I said in the last two things. Well, you guess you can do those two things, and you can paint your appliances too. There's a ton of how-to videos on the web, on YouTube. I'm going to put one of those in the description below, so I hope you check it out. But yeah, you can paint them, and you can give your appliances a whole new look without spending a lot of money on a brand new appliance. All right, this next point has to do with clutter. We all have it in our house, no kidding. I mean, well, what you guys can't see back below this couch is I've got toddler toys that are hanging out down there. Even behind me directly, there's some toys on the ground. That's clutter, and that's stuff that a potential home buyer is not gonna want to see. So maybe you've got an office that still has some boxes in it from when the last time you moved, and maybe you just haven't fully gotten them completely cleared out. Or maybe there's a couple of bookshelves that you have that aren't really all that organized. There's a lot of loose paper and just books kind of everywhere, just stuff that you put in the process of your day-to-day. Or maybe there's kids' toys or dog toys or whatever the case might be. If it looks cluttery, if it takes away from the character of your house, it's probably a good idea to move it out. Maybe not move it out of the house. You don't have to throw it out in the front yard, but you can put it in the basement or a closet or somewhere that's away from the main parts of the house, so you can actually make sure that your home buyers that are going to be looking at your house are paying attention to your house and not your clutter. One of the biggest turnoffs for home buyers is clutter, so keep that in mind as you're looking around your house. All right, the next tip has to do with your switches and your fixtures. So those plug outlets, and when you go flip the switch on a light, those kinds of things can actually be something that lowers the value of your house. And what I mean by that is, back in the day, and I say back in the day, a couple of decades ago, a lot of houses were built with a lot of these fancy decorative face plates for those switches and your plug outlets. Some of them had even like an off-white color at one point, and then over time with sun and daylight, it just kind of faded and it became kind of like this yellowy kind of color. Maybe the screws that are holding that faceplate together have a little bit of rust or just something on them that just don't look quite right, or maybe there's some chips in the paint on those faceplates. It's really easy to replace faceplates. It's really easy to replace switches and outlets. Very simple. It's not substantial electrical work. Yeah, you're going to have to turn off the electrical wiring to those switches, but really that's it. You go to your electrical panel and you can do that quickly and easily, and it's very simple to swap out those outlets for brand new ones with nice new faceplates, and honestly, it can just totally transform a room. If you have a beautiful room, but you have this kind of like ugly yellow looking faceplate and switch, well, actually that can actually hurt the value of a home, even though the rest of the room is beautiful. But because you have those dated looking faceplates and switches, outlets, well, it actually makes the whole room feel dated. So just keep that in mind. That's a really cheap, a really easy fix for any room in your house. Keep an eye out for those as you're walking around. All right, and my next tip is, if your home has a garage that is associated with it, don't forget to give it some love. You can do some awesome things with a garage and not spend hardly any money at all, and you can do it in a matter of minutes. It's really quite simple. So nowadays, hardware on the garage doors is kind of something that really adds a little pop, a little extra something to the curb appeal of the home. Now, you can actually get this done when you install a new garage and have it done. It can cost you an extra couple $100, but believe it or not, there's a very cheap way to do this. You don't even have to drill a single hole. There are magnets or magnetic hardware that you can buy, and I'm going to put a link for it. It's on Amazon. By the way, I do not get any money out of it. I'm just giving you an idea of something that you might be able to find. I'm going to put a link to some of that magnetic hardware in the description of this YouTube video if you're watching it. And I tell you, it adds a dramatic difference to what it looks like on the outside of your home. Usually the garage door is kind of just it's a utility, it's a tool, but you can add these little magnetic pieces, these handles, these little side ribbon things that can actually really jazz up the look of your garage. And believe it or not, you can actually add magnetic black squares that look like windows onto your garage. So you can completely transform your garage and go from this plain white door to this beautiful looking work of art. And it's all magnets, and it's all super cheap and easy to do. So just keep that in mind. All right, the last tip I'm going to give is talking about the landscaping. Give your yard a little bit of love. Maybe you've got some overgrown bushes, or maybe there's some spots with weeds, or maybe the edges of those flower beds aren't edged nicely. They're not nice and clean. They're kind of a little bit ragged with grass. Take a little bit of time and give some TLC to your yard, backyard, front yard, whatever it might be, and just really kind of clean things up a little bit. Trim back some of the bushes and edge some of the grass, and you can actually transform the look of your house. Here's a look at a before and after of a house, and wow, just a huge difference that might be from that overgrown bush looking kind of thing to, wow, really they look like they took care of their yard. That's one less thing for me to take care of as a home buyer, and that's really, really attractive for something to do. Also in that picture, notice some flower pots on the stairs. Really easy, really simple to do. It adds a little pop of color. You don't actually have to take a shovel out and dig anything up in your own yard. You're basically just adding them to a potted plant, and it's super easy. You can do that right when you're about to sell your house. Add a little extra color, of course, when you get some professional photography done for your home. All right. I said that was the last tip, but I've got one more bonus tip for you, and this one has to do with the pictures that hang in your home. You see a couple of them in my office. Those are of my family, and if I were to go to sell my house, you know what? I'm probably going to take those down, or I'm going to change the pictures in them. One of the hardest things for a home buyer to do is when they walk into a home is try to visualize themselves in the home, and that's really important, and it makes it hard for them if when they do that, they're seeing pictures of another family. Maybe it's one of those big giant canvas wraps. Maybe it's something that a lot of pictures or a picture collage on the wall, and it looks really great to you, and it's really sentimental to you, and it means a lot. but to a home buyer, they're trying to visualize themselves. So it's really important to at least try to swap out some of those family images. I'm not saying you have to do it everywhere, but in some of the main rooms of the house, it's probably a good idea. And even maybe just swap it in for some generic image. You can get them pretty much anywhere. You can print them out even at home. So it's something that you can do to add a little extra bonus and a little extra oomph to the curb appeal of your home. And all of those tips, by the way, are things that can be done easily in a couple of days. Some of them may take a little bit longer than that, depending on how much work you have to do for that. But again, all of those things can bring some serious ROI on your investment and bring you some hard-earned cash when you go to sell your house. So I hope all of those things are some great tips for you. If you have any more, I'd love to see them. Comment below, and I would love to actually react to those and think about some of those. Maybe I'll do some future videos on those as well. But thank you guys so much for watching this. Again, my name is Matt Moore. I'm a real estate agent in Lancaster, Pennsylvania with Keller Williams. All of my social channels there on below, and of course subscribe here too. And don't forget to comment, leave some love as well. Thank you guys for watching. Until next time, see you later.